The next major hurdle in the transaction is the purchase and sales agreement, the legal contract that will soon take precedence over the rest of the sale. The P&S agreement, as we call it, takes place roughly 7 to 14 days after an accepted offer, and is accompanied by a much larger deposit from the buyer, customarily 5% of the purchase price less the original deposit. This process is handled by real estate specified attorneys that represent your legal interests. We strongly recommend only using dedicated real estate attorneys, as these professionals understand the nuanced nature of real estate contract negotiation, and a good one is going to understand what it takes to finalize the deal. We have great attorneys we work with on a regular basis that we can recommend to you. In addition to this document being prepared by the attorneys, the 7 to 14 day window often accommodates any and all inspections, including, but not limited to home inspections, radon gas inspections, lead paint inspections, and pest inspections. These inspections can present obstacles in a transaction. Previously unknown material defects with the home can make a buyer nervous, and expectedly, they will likely ask for a remedy. This is another nuanced aspect of the transaction. While every home is assumed to have one issue or another, the cost of putting your home back on the market and losing time is oftentimes more costly than remedying a situation. Otherwise, we would need to disclose these newly discovered issues to the next buyer or remedy them anyways. Either way, your team member will review and present the issues and buyer requests and will recommend a path forward. Please note, this occurs in the majority of sales and isn't personal. We have a nervous buyer on our hands that has just emptied their savings to purchase a home, and they won't mean to offend you with their requests. It will simply come down to another business decision, and that's what we're here for. Up until the execution of the purchase and sales agreement, you will be presented with requests, situations, and inconveniences that can sometimes define the transaction. What it will come down to is your responsibilities versus smart business decisions. There are certain things we as your agent will recommend pushing back against, and others where we will advise you to meet a request. The basis for this comes from decades of experience and learning how buyers handle certain aspects of their purchase. At the end of the day, we'll make recommendations based on what we feel is in your best interest financially, and you will always be in charge of the route we take. In August of 2024, the Massachusetts legislature passed a law giving home buyers the right to have a home inspection, which begins in the summer of 2025. It is no longer a contingency. In practice, the buyer will notify us after the accepted offer if they intend to have an inspection or not. By law, the seller or their agent cannot accept or reject an offer on the basis of whether or not the buyer elects to have a home inspection. This law provides some breathing room to buyers, but doesn't have to negatively affect the seller. You are not obligated to remedy any and all issues found at inspection. If you are concerned that an inspection will impact your transaction, you have the option of hiring an inspector and provide your report to all prospective buyers. Please note, if you become aware of any material defects concerning the property, those must be disclosed. Otherwise, the buyer is free to conduct their own due diligence. After signing the purchase and sales agreement and collecting a larger deposit from your buyer, we look forward to meeting any outstanding obligations and planning your move. We'll focus our attention on a couple of key dates and events, the first being the appraisal. Underwriting a loan is more than likely going to be contingent upon an appraisal from a third-party professional. We will provide them access to your home, and somewhere in between a few days to a week after, they will present their findings to the lender. If the property appraisal is much lower than what the buyer offered, we can run into a major challenge. Unless specifically specified, a buyer would be responsible for putting more money down with their loan, and sometimes they don't have it. If this happens, we will have to make some hard decisions on the selling side, including either leaving the transaction and returning deposits to the buyer, or reducing the sales price enough to make the deal financially viable to the buyer. When reviewing offers, we will likely exercise caution if terms are significantly over the projected market value.